Are you tired of being the last one to act in combat? No more of that! Welcome to the Attic Dungeon! My name is Sam, and whether you're just very impatient or you're dying because you're too slow, I'm here to help you with everything! So, today we're going to have a chat about initiative. As per usual, I've prepared a couple of builds that demonstrate how to get really high initiative. Now, the question is, why would you want to have high initiative? It's not like having a very strong attack roll or a very strong damage roll, that this is something you will see to its greatest effect every time you get to act in combat. No. The initiative, obviously, for those who have no idea, is what decides where in the combat order you go. So the higher your initiative roll plus your bonus, the sooner you get to act. This also means that you need a plan. Just going first doesn't do anything. You should be capable of removing one or multiple enemies from combat, or to get in such a position that you've become of immense value to your allies. A few simple examples. Casters could cast a very strong control spell on some enemies to ease the combat. A character with incredibly high burst damage might be able to just remove something from combat by whacking it before it even gets to act and completely annihilating it. Or tanky characters might go to such a position that they immediately can start controlling the enemies. Of course, I'm thinking of the old and tired a bit Sentinel polearm combo, for example. If before any of the enemies get to act, you can already position yourself as such you can hinder as many enemies as you can, then having a high initiative is useful. If you don't have a strong follow-up, there's no need for you to have high initiative. Now, there are several classes that are capable of getting a nice boost to initiative thanks to subclass features, or just even in one particular case, a general feature. Two of them, I'm absolutely not going to use them in my builds. Why not? As you know, I usually try to get my builds completely online by level 8. From the simple perspective that not a lot of campaigns go into the higher tiers of play, so that way at least you get to enjoy your build relatively early in the game. If you're playing through to like level 10, you'll be online and swinging by level 8 or even sooner in some cases. And two classes gain a very good initiative feature, but they only gain it at level 7, leaving me with very little room to play around with, for example, multi-class features, or nothing else exciting happens in their lower levels that directly contributes to gaining a higher initiative, so they're not the most interesting to talk about. But I want to mention them anyway. In this case, I'm talking about the Barbarian in general. At level 7, Barbarians gain initiative advantage all the time. Every time you roll initiative, it is with advantage. Smart mathematicians have concluded that having advantage is roughly the same as having a +5 bonus, so it's pretty strong. So if you're a barbarian, your dexterity will be decent, because usually your dexterity contributes to your armor class as well, even when wearing medium armor, so it will not be horrible, so your initiative won't be bad, hence the advantage on initiative is going to help you out. The other subclass I want to mention is the new Oath of the Watcher Paladin. Their aura is a very strong initiative boost, actually. It allows you and all the allies within 10 feet, and as per usual, it extends to 30 feet afterwards, to add your proficiency bonus to everyone's initiative rolls. This is actually really strong, especially when combined with one of the builds that I am going to talk about today. You are going to buff people's initiative and your own initiative, which is probably not going to be that great because most paladins are strength based and hence dump dex. You are going to have a neutral initiative. If you're a dexterity based paladin, you're going to have really good initiative, and your allies will have insane initiative, especially, as I said, when combined with what I'm going to talk about today. So those two classes, not going to use them, but certainly worth a look if you're playing at a bit of a higher level and you want to include some more initiative funsies. Now, it's been a while, but my two builds today have some common ground which we're going to talk about. We're going to start with the feat that both of the builds will be taking, and that is, of course, the Alert feat. Alert does three things for you. First and foremost, you can no longer be surprised as long as you're conscious, which is nice. If your dungeon master likes to ambush you guys, this is a great feat for that. Furthermore, enemies that you cannot see no longer have advantage on you, which is very situational, but good. But last and certainly not least, Alert gives us a whopping +5 to initiative. This is a huge boost. This is the same as having 20 dexterity. So obviously it is going to be a very strong feat for our builds. Both of them will take it. Which brings me to the race. There aren't really any races that provide substantial bonuses to your initiative rolls. So if you want to be lazy, you could obviously play the ever overpowered variant human. You can boost your dexterity and you can pick up the Alert feat from the get-go. It works, it's great, but as you know, I don't like playing variant humans. It always feels a bit like cheating to me. There is one race that provides a marginal bonus to initiative, and then I'm obviously not talking about ability scores. Any race that boosts dexterity boosts your ability score, and since Tasha's allows you to swap those ability scores around anyway, that's all irrelevant. The only racial ability in all of the 5e books that boosts your initiative score is Halfling Luck. Yes, here I am again with my halflings. There is literally no other ability that boosts initiative, so the fact that your halfling allows you to reroll a 1 on a d20, which also means when you're rolling initiative, very marginally increases your overall initiative. For that reason, and for the fact that they do give dexterity and all the other stats that I will need for my builds today, halflings are going to be our preferred race. So our first build is going to be a Ghostwise Halfling Gloomstalker Ranger. That's a mouthful. Why the Gloomstalker Ranger? It is one of a few subclasses that allows you to add another ability score to initiative on top of dexterity. Other examples are the Swashbuckler Rogue, which gets to add charisma. We'll be using that for the second build, by the way. And the War Wizard, which gets to add his intelligence on top of the dexterity to initiative. So there's a few classes out there that have really strong initiative class features. I fancied using a ranger today, also to demonstrate some of the things that Tasha's has added to the ranger. It changed the class quite a bit in my opinion, and I do believe it's for the better. We start out with our ability scores. Put a 10 in strength, 16 in dexterity of course, 14 in constitution, 10 in intelligence, a 16 in wisdom thanks to the Ghostwise Halfling, and an 8 in charisma. Now the strength, intelligence and charisma scores can be swapped around a bit. I do advise having a 10 in strength though, at least because you are going to be wearing medium armor, and I'm going to assume both a ranged weapon and a melee weapon, which means that you do need to be able to carry some stuff around, especially if you want to get into the heavier medium armors later on in the game. At level 1, other than that, we're going to take, as I said, the Tasha's feature. So instead of Natural Explorer, we get Deft Explorer. Why I want to do this is because the Ranger had a very obvious problem. Natural Explorer allowed you to pick a type of terrain, let's say mountains, and your Ranger would be amazing in mountains. Could track, could explore, could do all sorts of things, really good. The moment, however, you leave those mountains, all those features become useless. So if your campaign is not going to take place in one type of region all the time, there are going to be quite a few moments where your Ranger is suboptimal, and I really think that's too bad. So here we go with Deft Explorer, which instead of the entire terrain-based thing gives you 2 languages, and it allows you to have some form of expertise in one skill. It's not exactly the same as expertise, they don't call it expertise, but you do get to add double your proficiency modifier to a skill. Swapping that out also means swapping out favorite foe for favorite enemy for favorite foe. Favorite enemy, same shtick, you got to pick a type of enemy, you were awesome in tracking them and what have you. Once you go and track some other enemy, you're just a bit silly, really. Favorite foe on paper looks like a poor man's hunter's mark. It fulfills the same niche. It adds damage when you do damage. It's a d4 at the start and it scales, so it's not a d6 like hunter's mark. But it doesn't use spell slots either. You can cast it a number of times equal to your proficiency, but you can't transfer it to another enemy. It does keep concentration occupied though, so there's some pros and cons to this. I think it's pretty good for two-weapon fighting rangers, because not having to use your bonus action to set it up means, especially in, let's call it, boss fights, you can target the boss and just start whacking immediately. You don't have to spend a turn setting it up and thus losing an attack with your bonus action. So it's good in those situations. I think it's better on boss fights than normal Hunter's Mark. They're situational. I like it. We take it. Level 2 is where our party begins. We get two things at level 2. First and foremost, our fighting style. We're going to use one of the new fighting styles from Tasha's, and that is called Druidic Warrior. It allows us to pick up 2 cantrips from the Druid list. The second one can be whatever you want. The first one, I want you to take Guidance. Guidance allows you to give someone or yourself a 1d4 extra on ability checks, and that is exactly what Initiative is. Initiative is a dexterity-based ability check, so you can pre-combat quickly touch yourself for little guidance, and you can add a d4 on your roll. It does use your concentration though, keep that in mind, and please don't be the guy who's constantly casting guidance on himself just because. You're walking through the forest, you're under attack. No, I have guidance so I can roll the d4 on. No. If you see combat coming, you can buff yourself, you'll have guidance. If you're getting ambushed, don't use a silly excuse like, yeah, I cast guidance on myself all the time, so I got it anyway. Really, that doesn't work, and if I am your DM, I'm going to, I don't know, punch you, kick you in the kneecaps. Something in my brain violent, but I won't do it in the end anyway. Apart from our fighting style, we also gain actual spell casting, and Tasha's gave us Entangle. Entangle is a pretty strong control spell. It converts an area into difficult terrain, already slowing enemies, and if an enemy inside the heap of vines or whatever fails a strength save, they become entangled, which means they are restrained, unable to move, and your allies have advantage on their attack rolls against them. This is strong. The fact that you're able to go early because of guidance on top of your great initiative is going to allow you to get this off before enemy moves on a regular basis. And because we started with 16 wisdom, your saving throw DC is equal to that of the druid, the wizard, the whatever in the party. So your crowd control is as optimal as theirs is at this point. So this is actually a really strong advantage that you can confer onto the party. You can just tie up all the enemies and, well, then they're lambs to the slaughter, really. Level 3 then gives us, of course, our Gloomstalker subclass, huzzah, plus 3 to our initiative because wisdom now adds to initiative, and you also get dark vision, which is good. Halflings don't have dark vision. There you go, you have it now. Is it necessary? No, I think dark vision is a bit overrated. I've learned throughout the years that it's really not as necessary as some people make it out to be, but we'll leave the lid on that sewage pit for now. It's nice to have, you get it, go for it. We continue into level 4, which is of course the level we take alert, another whooping, plus 5 to our initiative. We are going places with this ranger. And then we go to the actual level 5, which gives us 2 things. Extra attack, always good to have on any martial class. And we're going to take level 2 spells as well. There's some good control spells here, some nice utility. If you want to take the initiative game to a bit of a... I think for this build it's a bit unnecessary, but Rangers also got Enhance Ability. Enhance Ability allows you to select one of 6 buffs related to an ability score, kind of. One of them is called Cat's Grace. It allows you to jump from greater heights, and it also gives you initiative on dexterity-based ability checks. As I said, initiative is a dexterity-based ability check, so now you have advantage on initiative for up to an hour. I don't think it's worth it for this build. Your spell slots are limited. Guidance gives you, let's say, a +2 or a +3 on average. So the +2 that you're gaining from having advantage over having guidance is probably not going to be worth spending your concentration and your second level spell. But since I'm here to show you where all the best initiative buttons are, I have to mention that it's there, right? The excellent news though is that this build is done now. Actually already at level 4, this is at peak capacity if you don't count Enhance Ability. Which means it's online really soon, you get to do what you want. Level 8, I advise you to spend it on raising your dexterity. It raises your weapon attacks and it raises your initiative again. Level 12, if you get there, probably you want to up your wisdom at some point, because if we want to keep fulfilling that role of going first and casting some cool spell, if we want to affect an enemy, we are going to need a decent wisdom score to keep doing that consistently. So raise both dex and wisdom to 18 at some point, and then your last 2 ability score increases. Do what you want with those. I'm not here to talk about level 17 play. But there you have a very fast and crowd control-y ranger. They can do that now. They're pretty good at it. You gain a host of other features as well, thanks to Tasha. I'll talk about those more later. Let's move on to the second build, which is going to be a Lightfoot Halfling Swashbuckler Rogue / Valor Bard. So just like for the Ranger build, we have the perfect Halfling for this build. Lightfoot gives us +2 dex, +1 charisma, that's all we need. The ability scores are going to look really similar. Basically, charisma and wisdom swap places. So 8 wisdom, 16 charisma. Again, you can swap around the scores rather. I would again take a 10 in strength, because we are going to go probably Valor. If you want, you can go Swords College as well here, which means you get access to medium armor, better weapons, and you need to be able to carry those around. Level 1 gives us the standard Bard features like Bardic Inspiration and Spellcasting, but there's nothing really here that is going to boost your initiative already. What you can do, however, for this part, since we are going to go and grab one of the colleges that boosts our weapon skills, you can forego taking a damaging cantrip. You don't need Thunderclap or Vicious Mockery to deal damage. Your weapons will actually take care of that. You have 16 dexterity, which is again as good as any fighter is going to have that wants to attack with, or a rogue that wants to attack with finesse weapons or ranged weaponry. So don't worry about getting damage from your cantrips. Your weapons will take care of that. You can of course take a damaging spell. You could grab Dissonant Whispers or Thunder Wave for a bit more special damage. Now level 2 gives us actually the main thing we're here for when it comes to initiative buffs from Bard class features. Jack of all trades. This thing boosts any ability check that doesn't already use your proficiency modifier. And as you know, initiative never uses your proficiency modifier. So you will always be adding half your proficiency modifier to your initiative. Right now that translates to a +1 to your initiative, but later on it's going to take a while. That's going to become +2, +3, and so on. What's really good here, I talked about the Oath of the Watcher's Paladin as Aura adding a proficiency modifier to your initiative, but the thing is that is not your proficiency modifier, that is the Paladin's proficiency modifier. So this actually stacks. You can add half of yours and the complete Paladin modifier for double the proficiency pleasure on your initiative. I just wanted to pass that along if anyone is unsure what to play in your party and you're playing this build, nudge them towards a Watcher Paladin. Spells, of course, nothing yet. Still at level 1, nothing happening. I was looking at level 3 already on my cheat sheet, but we're still level 2. The spells are still the same. If you need help picking good Bard spells, go look at my Bard guide. I do some really nice suggestions on what to pick for your level 1, 2, 3 spells and so on. So if you don't know what to pick, have a look over there. Here we're going to move on to level 3, which of course does a lot of things for our Bard. Subclass first and foremost. So since we will be multi-classing with Swashbuckler Rogue and we're going to be using Rogue features, we might as well take a Bard College that also uses weapons so we can capitalize on the sneak attack feature that we're going to get. Hence, you have the choice between Valor or Swords. In general, on a pure metagamey power scale, Valor is better. Swords has a bit that it tries to lead you into attacking a lot with your Bard, which is a bit weird since you're still a full spellcaster who gets the full 1 to 9th level array of spells. So luring you into attacking frequently without casting spells is a bit weird, but there is some good stuff there, and it does fit the Swashbuckler theme so very well. So if you want to fully commit to that team, Swords is going to work for you, and it's not going to give you a bad character. You just have to look for the right balance. But I've already used the Swords College when I was doing my dual wielding video, so today I'm going to use the Valor College. So you get access to medium armor, shields. This makes you rather tanky, depending on whether you're a ranged Bard, then you'll just take the medium armor, but if you like to be in melee, you can use a shield as well now, so you're a frontline fighter all of a sudden who is going to be really quick on the initiative. You can also use your Bardic Inspiration to increase an ally's armor class or weapon damage. This is all good stuff. Valor is a really solid Bard college. There is one spell on the list here that we have to mention for the sake of initiative, and it's the same spell that I talked about on the Ranger build. It's Enhance Ability. For this build, it actually makes more sense to use it. Not just, you don't always have to use it for dexterity, by the way. You can pick one of the other buffs depending on what situation you're in. It's actually a good, flexible spell. But since this build will not have access to guidance or any other initiative boosting concentration spells, whatever, Enhance Ability is the way to go, giving yourself advantage on dexterity for an hour. So, it's what we're here for, so that is good stuff. Level 4, alert, there you are, we covered level 4, and then level 5, we don't get anything initiative boosting, but we gain an incredible control spell here. Bards at level 5 can take Hypnotic Pattern, completely capable of shutting down an encounter if the enemies are grouped up a bit. It can be devastating. Under normal circumstances, I would probably tell you to first grab Bard 6 so that your Valor or Swords Bard gains extra attack before you move on to your Rogue levels. But since I always strive to be done with my build by level 8, we're going to postpone that a bit and take Rogue levels now. So our first level of Rogue, we don't get extra attack, so we get some compensation in the form of Sneak Attack, which is 1d6 on top of our regular weapon damage for now. It's not wow, but it's not bad either. It gives us another skill proficiency, and we get some expertise as well. You've already received expertise as a Bard, by the way, at level 3 as well. So this character at this point has Jack of all trades to boost all your unproficient skills. 4 skill proficiencies, 3 from Bard in any skill, 1 from Rogue in a Rogue skill, and 3 skills of those 4 actually are going to have expertise. Plus you'll get probably 2 more proficient skills from your background. So on top of being a high initiative crowd control caster, you're also going to be an amazing skill monkey. Bard Rogue is one of the best skill monkeys out there. The end. That's it. You won't get them much better than that. So this is not just, as I said, initiative builds on their own don't do anything. This one is high casting, high initiative, high skills. You're good. You're golden, really. Oh yeah, level 2 gives us cunning action. It's a great feature, in my opinion. It allows you to use your bonus action for a variety of things that you otherwise need to use your action for. Disengage, hide, and dash. It's good. It's going to emphasize on that mobility aspect. Like, you're already going to be fast because of your initiative, but now you're also going to be pretty mobile on the battlefield, which is really nice, to be honest. But it's not why we're here. We're here for the rogue level 3. Our roguish archetype. We're going to go all out on the swagger and jolliness of this bard rogue combo by turning him into a swashbuckler. The swashbuckler has some really nice features. It's very easy to disengage as a swashbuckler without actually having to use the disengage action. If you are fighting an enemy and you damage them, you can just walk away from them and they can't attack you. You have an increased capability of landing sneak attacks if you're in melee range of an enemy. So the rapier shield bard actually has a slight preference here over the ranged bard, because if you're one-on-one with an enemy, you will always get to add sneak attack to your normal attack, and if you get to take an attack of opportunity, you can add it again. So that's actually pretty good. And as I said, we're going to add our charisma to our initiative starting from this level, which is level 8. So we're going to have, just like the other build, we'll have plus 12 on the initiative counter with possible advantage if you're using enhance ability. Now, from here on out, the build is kind of up to you. Your initiative is going to go up next level anyway, because you'll be level 9 in total, which bumps up your proficiency to 4, which means half of 4 is 2. Jack of all trades bumps up your initiative. If you're playing a long campaign and you know that you're going to get to the highest levels of play, you might want to keep it at 3 levels of rogue and keep the bard going. The bard class has really strong control spells, and you have magical secrets, so you can pick up anything basically. So you are the spellcaster and you get to go first. You can transform the battle into your plaything time and time and time again, which is really good. But if you don't need to get to those highest levels of spellcasting, you don't need 7, 8, 9 spell slots, you're never going to get there. You could increase rogue levels as well to capitalize on the martial aspect of the Valor subclass alongside your rogue features. This would lead to you getting a quick ability score increase on level 9 by grabbing your 4th rogue level. Though I do still argue that you should get your bard level 6 as soon as possible for the extra attack, but afterwards you have so possibly take that at 9 anyway, and then level 10 can be a 4th rogue level. If your campaign is only going up to, let's say, I don't know, 12, 13, level 14 maybe even, you could easily play rogue, grab that 4th level to get your ability score increase, and then afterwards you can still go back to bard to increase your spellcasting prowess for sure, but you just get a quicker stat bump earlier in the campaign. And if you know you're never going to get to that high level, who cares about the 9th level spell slot if your character is never going to make it past level 13, really. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. I have once again led you through the murky swamp of weird builds, this time focusing on initiative and how to be first at everything. Let me know what you think of the builds in the comments down below, and if all goes well, we'll see each other again in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.